was reading through the news today. I like to read Google News um, uh, while I'm brushing my teeth, if possible, or using the restroom, etc. It saves time. But I found an interesting thing. A Pentecostal group overseas is doing mass marriages with polygamous families. I mean, it's kind of like throwing together Sun Yun Moon with the what's it called Reunification Church, along with I don't know, with some practices of groups that claim connection to the Tanakh, the Hebrew scriptures, and they're like practicing Old Testament religion. No, I don't use the word Old Testament, but they do. And some of those practices within the Hebrew scriptures, they don't do them anymore. Um, many things in the Torah are not done anymore. The respect for people who've broken the law is kept as far as a justice perspective, and there's still some stigma with certain things. But polygamous marriage is no longer practiced only in the Muslim world, and you find in the Muslim world generally the only people that have more than one or two wives are very, very wealthy people. And generally, you find the extremely conservative people who are not one percenters of the Muslim world that have more than one wife, they live in absolute poverty. Absolute poverty. And you'll find in the 1% of the Muslim world, those men that have multiple wives, you'll find anywhere from 80 to 90% of those families are not truly happy. The children don't see their fathers very much. And the same can be true in the African world of women that have more than one husband. The children grow up very remote from their parents, and if they're with them, their parents are very aloof. Um, because these systems, we could say God aged us out of them. And yeah, it's just, it shows, oh, I'm virile. I have three wives. Or a woman would say, yes, I'm very desirable. I have four husbands. But it's not about us. If one thing we learn is about standing on our own, I mean, as Christians, and specifically as people who believe that we're called to stand on our own, to be righteous in and of ourselves, to be ethical people, and to be a light. I kind of take a positivist perspective on Christianity, because ultimately, despite a lot of positivists and followers of Ayn Rand who are atheists or agnostic, I believe that Jesus calls us to be, as she describes, stand on our own, be independent, be righteous, be self-sufficient. That way we can help others. And you see this within many, many monasteries and convents and friaries. This is exactly what they do. And that's what the disciples did. St. Paul, remember his treatise on tent making. That was his profession, building tents. And then if you read through the Gospels and you read through the Acts of the Apostles, you're going to find a lot of references in a lot of situations that are circulated around fishing. So that gives us a good idea how they got their livelihood while they were ministering and how they ate through fishing. And a considerable portion of the 12 were involved in the fishing industry. Sustainable industries can be taken anywhere. At a time when I was working with an Orthodox group, I came up with some sustainable fishery options for the clergy so that they would have more income, and it's something that is more flexible than many other jobs. You know, you can go out to your fish pond and feed them at night. You can harvest at night, or you can harvest early in the morning. Sustainable fishing is um, is a great way for farmers to make money, to earn an income that's I don't want to say it's low maintenance, but it's more flexible maintenance. You know, as long as it's not a flooding season, specifically for somebody who's Southeast Asia. I mean, or even parts of Alaska. You know, it's going to depend on water flows and freezing and stuff like that, and your location. Sometimes of the year you may not be able to do it in certain places. One, it may be too cold, or two, um, the flooding will keep knocking down your walls and your nets. So I mean, there's other things that are involved in this too, but it is a great way to make income, and it works with the land. You're working with the land and with the waters, as long as you do it responsibly. Responsible, not overstocking your fish pond so that you get bacterial overgrowth, and then it pollutes the waterway. But so Jesus wants us to stand on our own and to be independent and self-sufficient, which, if somebody has 3 or 4 wives, are they really doing this? And you find many stories, even in the Arab Muslim world, actually not just Arab, also Southeast Asia. I didn't think of Malaysia. There may be some of the Malaysian kings that may have more than more than one wife. Um, but ultimately, even if they're very wealthy and the wife has her own business, so she's self-sufficient, and they schedule their time with their husband. But in the end, it's always the children that suffer. If you're one man or one woman and you have 4 people that are your spouse, that's only 25% of your time each. And I don't care if people say, like they were saying in this article, oh, we do things together, blah, blah, blah. Still, the fact remains 25% of your time. If you're in 25% of your time to that individual family, then you're splitting your time between 50% wife, 50% children. So you break that out, break it down, break them out, into numbers, and you're looking at 1/8 of your time is spent with each family's children. That's nothing. 1/8 of your time, that would be the equivalent of, let's see, in a 24-hour day, that's what, 3 hours? Let's see. No, that would be 8 hours. Yeah, no, it'd be 4 hours. 4 hours a day with your children. That's excluding sleep time. So if you add in sleep time, it could be less than an hour a day with your children, and you're leaving a mark on their life and inspiring them and giving them, guidelines for how to live, and benchmarks for what is good for them. Failing the mark. Polygamy and polygyny fail the mark. That's why they were stopped. There was a period in time, I think around the time that the church started was when Israel, I'm not saying Israelites because people always take that out of context, and I don't like that. The Jewish people are the people of Israel, no one else. No Israelite this group or Israelite that group, no. Israelis, the people of Israel, the Jewish people, they are the ancient Israelites and will always be. But true Jews, true people who are truly Jewish, not people who add it to their group, add it to their name. people who are truly Jewish. But there's all kinds of stuff going on, and the media doesn't talk about it, of course. But you find a lot of groups support these groups because people always point a finger of hatred towards Israel. And we see this even within the church, people misinformed about things. I see it all throughout the Catholic and Orthodox world. People always misinformed about what IDF did here, what IDF did there. Always misinformed. Yes, warfare is bad, but you'll find more ethics and more righteousness and more of a controlled resolve to peace on the Israeli side. And do I blame all Palestinian people? No. Palestinian people are a beautiful people. The problem is who controls the government on that side. That's the problem. Palestinian people are and continue to be enslaved by terrorist regimes that control the country. And you can change the face and the name of a group. Oh, that's the political arm. But still, the root's always there. And it takes generations for those political arms of these groups to put down their guns and decide to finally choose peace. It takes generations. But anyway, speaking of this polygyny and polygamy, they fail to meet the mark. They really don't provide a stable future for the children. I don't care if society, oh, it's the bedrock of our society. Our society is very economically stable, yada, yada, yada. But the problem is these things get in a rut. These type of habits get in a rut. It's harder to move past, move past this kind of thinking into a just world, a world where, there's embrace of better outcomes for everybody, more technical, better medical, more informed, um, more informed opinions and practices concerning justice for everyone. It takes a lot longer because it's kind of like being caught in a rut. You just get not enough time, just never get enough time with the fathers or with the mothers. Just never enough time. So progress moves at just a snail's pace. That's why. So this is just some food for thought because polygamy and polygyny, I know there are alternate families out there. There's different expressions of love, but still, ultimately, we use the fruit test. What is the fruit they bear? Something to think about.